The stable door flew open with a scream of rusted hinges as the storm slammed against it. Snow whipped inside, sharp as needles, and the lantern light shook in Elias Hawkins's hand. In the damp straw lay a massive body, twisting weakly, shoulders wide as two wooden planks. Her back was a map of bruises and lash marks, dark against her skin. When she lifted her head, golden eyes locked onto him. The eyes of an Apache warrior. Elias tightened his grip on the lantern without meaning to. She was enormous, at least 7 feet tall, well over 2 meters. Her body still strong and rippling with muscle, even in exhaustion. Her chest rose in broken breaths as the cold bit at her skin. "Stay back," she said. Her voice was rough, cracked by pain and freezing air, but it carried command. Elias did not step back. He also did not reach for his gun. He saw the snapped bindings near her wrists, the torn flesh, the blood dried into the straw. He saw something else, too. Desperation burning quiet and bright behind her fear. "You are on my land," Elias said slowly. "I do not want trouble." She watched him like a hunted animal, muscles tensing as if ready to strike. Elias set the lantern down and crouched just long enough to place a bowl of food on the wooden floor. Then he stepped back. "If you want it, eat." For a long while she did not move. At last, trembling. The Apache woman crawled forward and picked at the food with her hands, eating like someone who had not trusted mercy in a long time. As Elias turned away, her voice came faint, almost swallowed by the wind. "You will not hand me over to them." Elias answered without turning around. One sentence. Short and solid. "I do not sell people." The storm did not stop. Night after night, snow buried the land, and the wind battered the cabin like a wild animal. After bandaging her wounds, Elias let her stay inside. Not because he trusted her. Because one more night in the stable would kill her. When he asked her name, she spoke it quietly. Nana. She chose a place near the door, where the cold crept in strongest. She slept with her hand wrapped tight around the small knife Elias gave her while cleaning her wounds. He did not object. Out here, anyone who lived long learned to trust instinct before people. By the third morning, the snow had swallowed the water trough outside. The cabin sat trapped in white silence. Elias fed the fire while Nana watched him, her eyes sharp but tired. "Why are you not afraid of me?" she asked suddenly. Elias shrugged. "You are big, strong." He glanced at the walls, the frost creeping through the cracks. "But the cold is scarier than you." She frowned, confused. She had never met anyone who spoke to an Apache warrior like that. Later, stacking firewood, Elias spoke, half joking. "If this winter keeps us here, folks in town will say I plan to start a whole family before spring." Nana turned. Of her mouth lifted in a proud, cold smile. "I would sleep with you," she said flatly, "and have children with an ordinary man." Elias laughed, not offended. "Hearing it out loud, I admit it does sound reckless." She scoffed, but when she turned away, her eyes glinted with surprise, not at his words. At his calm, that night the storm grew worse. Elias added wood to the stove and laid a thick blanket over her shoulders. "Do not move too much," he said. "The wounds will tear." Nana looked at him through the firelight, not as prey, not as a threat. "Why are you doing this?" "I do not let anyone die in my house," Elias answered. That is all. Outside, the storm raged. Inside, the distance between them shrank. Sleep did not come easy for Nana. She woke often, breath heavy, body ready to fight shadows. Elias noticed, but never asked. Some wounds were better left covered by silence. One evening, as Elias sharpened a blade by the fire, Nana spoke. "I was not born to hide in a little house. I am of the Atsa bloodline, trained to ride, hunt, fight, Never to bow. Elias set the blade down. But right now, he said gently, you are running for the first time. She exhaled slowly. They ambushed me, tied me, sold me through towns. Her fingers traced a lash mark on her shoulder. I killed one, wounded two. Then they beat me. Elias placed a bottle of herbal medicine in her hand. You will not ask more. She asked. What happened does not make you weak, Elias said. It tells me how strong you are. Her face softened for just a moment. Later, she spoke again, voice low. No one has treated me like this. No one lets me stay without wanting something. You are breathing, Elias replied. You need sleep. That is reason enough. The wind outside eased slightly. But inside Nana's heart, a different storm began to change. The sky darkened early that afternoon, the kind of gray that pressed low and heavy over the mountains. Elias was chopping wood behind the cabin when the sound cut through the quiet. Horse hooves, fast, sharp, too sure of themselves. He stopped, mid-swing, and looked toward the narrow white road. Two riders pushed through the snow, heading straight for the cabin as if pulled by a rope. Elias knew those shapes, those hard shoulders and careless posture. Men who hunted people and called. It'd work. His jaw tightened, but his face stayed calm. One of them smirked as they drew close. Evening Hawkins. Heard you're holding some mighty large cargo. Elias set the axe down and stood tall. Turn around, he said. Go back where you came from. The other rider kicked his boot against the cabin wall, eyes scanning. That Apache girl belongs to us. We've got good noses for this. Elias crossed his arms. His voice dropped, flat and cold. She does not belong to anyone. The bearded man laughed. Out here, whoever catches, owns. Elias shifted his coat just enough to show the revolver at his hip. If you come back, he said, each word measured, bring papers from a judge and a priest. And even then, I might still send you away with a bullet. The laughter died. They saw it then. This was not bluff. This was the calm of a man who had ended trouble before. After a tense moment, they pulled their reins and backed away. You have not seen the end of this. One called as they left. The cabin door creaked open. Nana stood there, tall and shaking, fear still clinging to her. Eyes, if you did that for me, she said softly, then I will stay. Elias nodded once. That night, the storm returned fiercer than before. Wind slammed into the cabin until the walls shuddered. Elias bolted the door and dragged a chair against it. The fire burned bright, but the cold still found its way in Nana. Sat against the wall, wrapped in blankets, her wounds aching. Elias added more wood and covered her again. Stay warm. This may last till morning. She watched him closely. This spot is still cold. Elias sat near the fire, rubbing his hands. Just get through tonight. She hesitated, then pulled the blanket open a little. Two people stay warmer. Elias froze. He knew it was true. He had survived worse nights sharing heat. But this was different. He searched her face. You sure? She did not answer. She tugged the blanket once more. Elias lay beside her. Warmth spread quickly between them. Her skin smelled faintly of smoke and wild grass. Silence settled, heavy but not sharp. After a while, Nana turned and touched his cheek. I trust you. He pulled her close. Their kiss was slow and steady, melting more than the cold. When they rested together, her head found his shoulder for the first time. Winter loosened its grip weeks later. Snow melted into dark earth. The cabin breathed again. One morning, Elias found Nana on the porch, her hand resting over her belly. There is a child, she said. Elias smiled, surprised by how right it felt. Then I will build a cradle." "I once thought you weak," Nana admitted. "Elias's strength is not fear." "That is because I love you," Elias said. Spring brought news. A rancher marrying a giant Apache woman. The town gathered, curious and quiet. Nana wore traditional beads that caught the light as she stepped down from the wagon. When she stood beside Elias, fear fell away. Pastor Jacob asked if they were certain. "She saved me from loneliness," Elias said. "I choose him," Nana said. Because his heart never backed down. Cheers filled the chapel. Days later, the cabin rang with hammer blows as Elias built more space. Nana gathered grass nearby, her laughter now a familiar sound. At sunset, they stood together, watching the valley. "This place feels closer," Nana said. "To what?" Elias asked. "To home." They were no longer running. They were building. The first real warmth of spring spread slowly across Hunter Creek Valley. Snow still clung to the shadows, but the earth had begun to breathe again. Water trickled down the slopes, and soft brown ground showed where winter had once ruled. Elias opened the cabin door early that morning, letting the light spill inside. For weeks, the world had felt sealed shut. Now, it opened wide. Nana stood on the porch, her tall frame filling the doorway. She looked down at her hands, then placed one large palm gently over her belly. The simple motion stopped Elias in his tracks. "Are you all right?" he asked. She turned to him, her eyes calmer than they had ever been. She took his hand and pressed it against her stomach. Warmth pulsed beneath his palm. Steady, real. "There is a child," Nana said. Elias stood silent for a moment. The wind moved softly around them. Then he smiled, a rare and quiet smile. "Then we will need more room," he said. "I will build a cradle, a strong one." Nana watched him carefully. "I once thought you were weak," she admitted. "Small, not worthy of my blood." Elias let out a short breath. "I figured." She shook her head. "True strength is not fear. It is staying." "That is because I love you," Elias said. Her face softened fully then. Not a warrior, not a hunted giant. Just a woman at the start of something new. And? One choose you. Spring winds carry the news fast. Rancher Elias Hawkins marries a giant Apache woman. That single line pulled the town of Red Valley toward the small church on the hill. When Nana stepped down from the wagon, dressed in traditional beads that followed the lines of her powerful frame, the crowd fell silent. Some stared, some whispered. But when she stood beside Elias, steady and calm, fear had no place to stay. "Pastor?" Jacob hesitated before speaking. "My son," he asked Elias softly. "Are you certain?" Elias did not hesitate. "She saved me from loneliness. I choose her." Then Nana stepped forward, her voice deep and sure. "I choose this man not because he is stronger than me, but because his heart never backed down." The words settled heavy and true. When they were pronounced husband and wife, the church erupted. Cheers, laughter, horses stamping outside. A celebration Red Valley had never known. That evening, the cabin glowed with firelight. Elias hammered wood for the new room, each strike steady and honest. Nana gathered dried grass nearby, her hand often resting over her belly. People still stared when she passed. An Apache woman over 7 feet tall once feared. But her eyes were gentle now. She did not explain herself. Her choice spoke louder than words. "Go rest," Elias called. "Wind is picking up." "I am fine," Nana replied, though she paused long enough for him to check her shoulder. "Not fine by me means not fine," he said. She laughed softly, a sound once rare, now familiar on the porch. "Since when are you stubborn?" Since I married a woman who could lift me with one hand, Elias teased. She bent down and kissed his forehead. As evening fell, golden light washed over the valley. Nana stood on the porch, watching the land she once fled. Elias wrapped his arms around her waist. "What are you looking at?" he asked. "This place," she said. "It feels closer to what?" "To peace. To you. To home." Smoke rose from the cabin like a signal. A lonely rancher and a hunted giant were no longer running. They had built something winter could not take, a place without chains. A place where a child would soon be born. Love was not loud or perfect. It was choosing to stay, choosing to stand together when storms came. And in the quiet, wild places of the West, that choice was stronger than any winter.